we're here today to talk about getting your certification, if you will, to be able to do open houses and to be a touring agent. Okay, so we're doing this to, again, try to make sure that everybody is fully capable and confident in their abilities to go out and do these activities. Some of you are brand new, some of you have been doing this a while or whatever, or just filling the square, and that's okay too. All right, so we're going to go through this real quick, and we're just going to talk about in a little bit more detail. And so what you've got in front of you is something that that Christina put together, steps to a successful open house, and then immediately following this, we're going to do touring agent. So we're just going to kind of split the time in between. So we're going to talk about when you have the open house, you've been awarded an open house opportunity, you've raised your hand, and somebody has said, yes, you're the one. All right, now what? We're going to talk about the things that you're going to do prior to the open house, the day of, and then the after action stuff. Okay? So the first step when you are awarded an open house that has been coordinated and arranged through the help desk, which they all should be, you're going to send help an email to let them know the time and the date and and they'll be handled when you'll be holding the open house. They will send all of that info to the MLSs and it'll get syndicated out to all the websites. You don't need to do any of that. Don't ask me why that showed up. So you don't need to worry about advertising. Well, you're going to need to worry about promoting your open house, but you're going to do it on your social. You don't need to worry about anything that's in MLS or the other websites. All right. They can also send you a flyer, social media graphics, anything that you might need, sign-in sheets, anything that you might need. The help desk can absolutely help you find that. And we will also put out the directionals for you, the signs, the information that you need. However, you will need, if you're the last one hosting an open house for that particular weekend, you will need to pick those up and help out the help desk whenever you're done. All right. The hosting agent, you will want to be familiar with the property before you open the house. You're going to pull up the information in the MLS, print off that sheet, read through it, memorize the pertinent facts. Things like, is there an HOA? How much are the dues? Rental restrictions, that's a big one, and you're going to get asked that a lot. What schools are close by? How well are they rated? All of that information about the community. You want to run a CMA to see how your particular subject house, how it measures up with other homes in the neighborhood. What can this CMA also tell you if somebody comes in and they say, I don't like this house, but this is a great neighborhood? Then you've got an opportunity to go, well, there's two others in the same subdivision and I'm free after 5. What are you doing? Okay, so there's opportunities there. All right. Again, now prior to the open house, you're going to start marketing the open house through your social channels, get the message out digitally, word of mouth, every possible way that you can get this, the better off you are. You want to not only post, but you want to do put it in your Facebook, your business Facebook, but you also want to do things like Marketplace, Nextdoor, neighborhood Facebook groups, any other opportunities that you might have to be able to put that information out there. Share the information with the contacts and colleagues via email and social media. You could use your CRM to announce that, that particular open house. If it happens to be in a neighborhood that you're farming, you hopefully already have those people's names and information in your CRM. If not, we can help you get them in there. All you got to do is raise the red flag and ask. All right. And if you really want to make a great impression and you want to do well, you can create a post and a video email message about your open house. Live video. Does anybody know what the statistics are on engagement for a live video versus a video that you post?
74%.
There you go. I believe that. I don't know if it's the right answer, but it's high. Your engagement level goes dramatically higher with a live video as opposed to a recorded video that you're just posting. All right. On the day before or prior to the open house, I always like to do a drive-by. I want to know what I'm getting into. I want to know where the house is, how it's positioned in the neighborhood, if there's anything that I need to be aware of, that I need to ask the listing agent about, hey, what's going on in the backyard with the dump truck that's on the other side of the fence? And, that's all. you never know that unless you do a drive-by, okay? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words. You want to go, you've done your CMA, now you drive through the neighborhood and you find those other comps that are out there. And you want to double check and make sure the directionals are positioned in the right place. And there's where I put the, could you possibly show one or the comps to another interested buyer? All right, print your flyers, sign-in sheet, MLS sheet for yourself, purchase your snacks and refreshments that you'll be offering for the open house. And I put in there allergy considerations. That's something you always need to be thinking about, okay? So if you happen to bake brownies or cookies or whatever and you put those out, you may want to have something there that's prepackaged with no nuts in it in case somebody has a nut allergy or something along those lines, okay?
And snacks or refreshments are not a requirement. It's just an added thing if you want to do that. So.
But it is nice because it can work as well as an icebreaker when somebody comes into the house. All right, so now we're talking about the day of the open house, all right? First off, you got to look the part, everybody. You got to be dressed well. You got to look like a professional, act like a professional, show up, be on time, be early, and do well, okay? Confirm the setup of the outdoor directionals on the corners. Again, help will have done this for you. If you need help, if you need something changed, let us know. But that's kind of why you want to need to go early, because it may be a while before somebody else can get there. All right, turn on all the lights in the house, open all the doors, make sure the HVAC is set at the appropriate temperature so it's comfortable in the home, because people won't stay there if they're roasting in this heat. Okay, set up shop in a centered or a high traffic area of the home. Position yourself to be able to greet those guests as they come in. And then this is where you can use your snacks as a icebreaker, if you will. All right. I have, since we're talking about meeting up with clients right now, I have I'm gonna. Could you pass those around for me? One piece of material there on questions that you can ask, very conversational questions that you can ask when somebody comes into the home, that can help you immensely. All right. So lastly, when you have people coming in, be nice, introduce yourself and the property, and encourage the guests to sign in. And getting visitors to sign in, who here has done these and had somebody that didn't want to sign in? Everybody, okay? Everybody, you got some techniques on that one? I mean, it all depends on the situation. If the home is occupied and somebody doesn't want to sign in, I would use the security concerns as the seller has, for security reasons, ask that everybody sign in. Okay, and if they're not willing to sign in, then I'm sorry, have a nice day. Here's the front door. Okay.
Just ask them to leave.
If they're not willing to sign in to be able to register their presence there for security reasons, then they're not the kind of people that you probably want there to begin with. Okay. If the home is vacant and there's no real risk of security concerns, I might be a little bit more lenient letting them come in without a sign-in.
You're more likely just to lie anyways.
It's more than likely just a lie.
They don't want to sign, they'll just say flow and put it on
Yep,
there.
yep. And there are a couple of different examples of sign-in sheets. Yeah.
I was just asking, because I've seen people do it and not do it. Is this just if the seller asks about something?
I would do it regardless, because you want to be able to collect data on who those buyers are that are coming in there, because you're going to put them into your CRM and you're going to turn around and market yourself to them if they're not represented by a buyer, by an agent.
The other part of that too is for the listing agent. Somebody that comes by during the open house, it won't show up on showing time, so they need to know if it's a blind offer or not. So it's good to have a record of who's actually been there and seen the house.
Very valid point. Very valid point. I think there were a couple of people that came in. Does everybody understand what Lanier was talking about? Okay, just want to make sure. All right. You can leverage your social media while you're physically there at it. And this is where I talked about it. Do a live, a Facebook live feed or a TikTok stream. And if you need to know how to do those, you know how to get on Nicole's calendar. All right, but you want to create that buzz, you want to create that energy and that excitement about it. So be upbeat, be positive when you're doing your marketing of the open house. Steven.
On TikTok, you have to have 1,000 followers to go live.
To go live?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, so all right, so then you're going to, so just here, this is not even in here, but let's just talk about it when you're actually physically at the house. You've given them the spiel at the beginning. You've run down your vital stats of the house. It's a 4-bedroom, 3,000 square foot, built in 1993, and it's offered at $450. You've given them that spiel. Do you follow them around the house? Do you hover? No. Kick back. Make sure that they understand that you're available to answer any questions that they may have, but you don't necessarily want to hover. Okay? All right. So then after.
Jay,
Sir.
they don't want to sign in.
You walked in right after I finished this. Yeah. All right. So after action, after they have you finished the thing, you want to stay all the way to the end. I totally lost my train of thought. He threw me off. What did I ask you? I asked you a question and then I did.
Do you follow them around?
Do you follow them around? Okay, I did. All right, so I'm good. All right. So you want to stay until the scheduled time. All right. You're supposed to be there from 3 to 5. At 4:30, no one has shown up. Do you leave? Do you pack up?
No.
Okay, and you may be thinking to yourself, no big deal. Nobody's here. It's raining, or you know, there was a car accident out front. But now you've also got to think about, if you're a showing agent, that's one of C21's, or if you're a touring or a open house agent, that's one of our listings. We've got a seller. One of you has a seller that they've got to answer to when they come home and nobody's there. And it was supposed to be until 5 o'clock and it's 4:30 and there's nobody here. Okay, so be respectful, be professional. If we say we're going to be there from 3 to 5, by golly, we're going to be there from 3 to 5. All right? Immediately after your event, your open house, you are going to call, text, email, smokescreen, whatever you need to be able to let that listing agent know what happened during the open house. All right? That is probably the biggest failure that we have been seeing across the board. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So you want to let them know how many people attended, any interested buyers. Did anybody say, we're going to be sending you an offer this evening? Feedback on the homes, things that they liked, things that they didn't like, things that, you know, that the listing agent should be talking to the seller about changing. That purple bathroom has got to go. Everybody here said it needed to be painted. That's valuable information that listing agent needs to know. Okay, and they're not going to get it unless you give it to them.
Right, and also, so a lot of you, the beginner agents who are just failing in reporting comments and things like that, you haven't had a listing yet. You don't know the pressure of a seller.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You know the pressure of a buyer, but you don't know the pressure of a seller. The seller has been texting the listing agent every 5 minutes since 4:30. Okay, they want to know who's coming through, what's happening, is anyone interested? You know, it's very vital to them. So passing on that information is crucial. And you will learn that as soon as you get some more listings. You'll understand that dynamic and that desperation of, we need to sell our house. So just be aware of that, you guys.
Okay. And also be aware of the fact that since we're talking about at the end and we're cleaning up and things like that, people will continue to come even after you've said 5 o'clock or whatever the case may be. Be ready for that. It will happen. All right. So when you're done, you want to clean up the home, turn all the lights off, basically put it back in the same condition that you found the home in. All right. Leave it as you found it. And then if you're the last one of the weekend, if it's Sunday and there's not going to be an open house, another one over the weekend, you're on point for the directionals. And then after the fact, then you're going back to your home office. You've got 10 people that attended your open house. What are you going to do?
Reach out to them.
The follow-up. That's where the fun begins. The follow-up begins at that point. Bring your open house sign-in sheet, put your attendees into your CRM, call them, text them, thank them for coming, anything that you can do, especially if they're an unrepresented buyer. Okay? Those are the ones you want to make a very strong impression upon. Yes, ma'am?
You don't have to ask them for permission to contact them?
Nope. All right, some additional resources. There are no less than 2 separate sign-in sheets going around. There's one that's just lines, and then there's this one that actually I think one of you, Lacey sent this to me, but I can't remember where you got this from. This is actually a really good resource. Was this yours?
I got it from Realty.
Okay, somebody got it. I like it nonetheless because it's got some great information in there. It asks them if they want a home valuation, if they want a CMA, different things like that. I actually like this one. That's out there, so that's an additional resource for you. And I have another document that apparently didn't come off the printer when I told it to, but it's your scripts and approach. It's kind of a companion to the one I just handed out, these questions. And I will post that online so you guys can use that one too. And then the questions for the buyers. Any questions on open houses? Leah first.
2 kind of operational questions, probably for you, Christina. Is the hosting agent asking the help desk for the flyers and the social media posts, or is that being done automatically when open house kind of gets requested?
It's automatic. So we're gonna send you out a confirmation email to the lead agent and the hosting agent stating the times, when the open house has been posted to the MLS, and that you should expect a flyer and a graphic shortly. If there's anything additional that you might need, then just let us know through those email channels. But yeah, it's pretty much automatic. We're assuming you guys are gonna use it and want it, so we're gonna make it.
Great. And the second thing is about the help desk putting out the open house signs.
Mm-hmm.
Am I to assume that automatically happens unless I'm
Yes.
told they can't do it and then I need to do it?
That is correct. Yes, it will automatically be assigned to the Friday list unless I tell you it is out of our jurisdiction or out of our area, or if there's a reason why we can't do it. But then we'll set out signs for you guys and we'll let you know right away.
Got it. Okay.
But otherwise, assume it's getting done in the background.
Okay, Pedro, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you mentioned, like, another helpful thing is meet all the neighbors, let them know
Oh,
you're
yeah.
having an open house.
Yeah.
They might,
Was that in the?
Next door, well, the nextdoor.com,
It was,
but
yeah.
yes. Originally in my script, I had a door knocking section. You could do some door knocking. That's exactly what that is, letting the neighbors know. All the neighbors love to come by the open houses anyways. They want to see what's for sale on the street, what's happening, how the place looks inside compared to theirs. Neighbors are very vital.
And I actually got a good intel last weekend when I did it.
Mhm.
The neighbors gave me a lot of
Neighbors are
Oh,
gossips too. They want to gossip, so go
Yep.
ahead and let them talk.
Yep, absolutely. Jessica.
I have 2 questions. One, you mentioned changing the temperature in the home.
Mhm.
Is that okay? Because I never mess with it, because I assumed the homeowner set it there, they don't want us messing with it, especially when they're vacant homes and they're hot or something.
Vacant homes, especially on a hot day like this,
We have full-on permission to
people,
change
if the
temperature?
utilities are on, make sure you turn it off when you leave.
Yeah.
But while you're there, turn it on and cool it down.
Okay.
It's not making a good impression of the house if it's over 100 degrees in there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody's going to hang out in a house if they're sweating
The
bullets
seller's
while
gonna
they're
be
walking
okay
through.
with that. Just make sure to put it back when
Yep.
you leave. That's the key part. 'Cause
That
when
is
nobody's
absolutely
in
key.
it And it's running for 5 days, oops.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my second question is it okay for us to schedule and block the time, maybe like right before the open house? Because I'd like to be able to get in there early, especially if there are people waiting to go into the open house. But I also don't want to take away scheduled time for actual agents.
I think that.
I've had it to where they scheduled right at the open house, and I'm trying to go in, and they're like, "We're showing."
Yep. I think that's a great idea.
That is okay. Okay.
And to be honest with you, you might actually be smart to block the entire time that you're doing the open house.
Yeah, I was gonna ask too. I never worried about it because it's posted, so it's their fault
Yeah.
if they're not looking that it's posted.
But I've been at open houses before where an agent shows up with a buyer and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were doing an open house." Well, it was advertised.
Yeah, I've had it too.
Yeah. Okay. What other questions? Any last questions before we move on to touring agent? Okay. All right. So now you've snagged your tour. So we're going to talk about some considerations, considering the source, and then preparing, and then the day of the actual showing. All right, so this was not in your stuff, but I added it because I think it's important. When you are a showing agent, there are two potential scenarios that brought you to that position. The first one is it is a C21 listing, and somebody called our office and said, hey, I'd like to see your listing. Are you represented by a buyer? No. Or maybe the answer is yes, but he's out of town, or I can't get anybody to do it, and they're reaching out to the listing agent to potentially show it. So in that scenario, it's our listing. You're there because it's potentially an unrepresented buyer, and you could represent them, so you're showing them. Those are the ones you're going to want to pay a little bit more attention to, stay a little bit more focused on to be able to potentially win them as a buyer client. Okay. The other scenario is you're showing a buyer client of one of our other C21 agents. So they're already in a buyer's brokerage agreement, or they're already spoken for, and you do not want to interfere with that relationship. Chris is the guy who wants to see the house. It's Mike's listing, but Mike can't represent Chris because he's already representing the seller, so he calls me, and I'm going to go take Chris out there to show it. Okay? Does that make sense? So consider the source, because your approach to this may be different based off of which one of these scenarios it is. Okay? So you prepare for the touring. You're going to connect with your lead agent, get the client info, and start communicating with them for a good time to meet at. After speaking with the client and setting the time to meet, start to set up the tour and showing appointments through the MLS using showing time. Big proponent of showing cart if you're going to see more than one house. Send them an itinerary. You guys should be fairly competent in all those things. If you're not, let me know and we'll get you up to speed. Questions? Pull all of the homes that you're going to be touring I always print the one page. Simple, easy, puts all the information real easy to find, and you keep it at your fingertips. You always want to check the availability of the home as well. You can't always depend upon the status in MLS to be reflective, okay? So this market is moving fast, so you always want to check. Once you've confirmed the tour route, confirm with the client, and always CC the lead agent on any communication that you do with them. Send them the itinerary. They'll love you for it. Okay, the actual day, again, look the part. Be a professional, be dressed well, be on time. Make sure your car looks good when you're going out for showings. If you got mud slung in halfway back your fender, it's not a good sign. Everybody knows you need to update your super key before you go out. You want to make sure you're doing that in an area in case you happen to show up to the house and you got very weak signal and you can't update your key and you won't be able to open the door. Happened to me before.
Me too.
Yep. All right. Arrive at least 15 minutes early to the home and prepare it for the showing. And when you're preparing it for the showing, you're opening all the doors, you're turning on all the lights. And of course, you want to make sure you're knocking very well. I can tell you some horror stories that will curl your toes about walking in on homes. Yeah. Yep. Talk about making you nervous when you're in somebody's house and you're not supposed to be in somebody's house. Or at least they don't know you're not supposed to be in their house. Okay, and you're gonna turn on all the lights, you're gonna greet your customers with a smile. I always, you're meeting somebody that you've never met before, you're already in the house. I typically open the front door and leave it open. And I'll be going around the house, turning the lights on, do my thing, pay attention to the front of the house, make sure when they pull up, you're responding and you're there, all right? And it's always a good idea to leave this up in front of the house. This is the script that I kind of gave you in our last about the open house. But as you're touring, you want to give them the vital stats on the house. Let them tour the home, be available for questions. And once the showing is over, turn off all your lights, lock up, make notes of the things that they are saying, because again, you're going to be feeding this back to the lead agent that basically got you this opportunity. Return the key to the super box, And then when you're done, immediately send that message over to the lead agent on how it went. Do they need you to help with an offer? If that person is too busy to be able to show and you want to write an offer and you need that offer in tonight, they may be too busy with that and you might be able to help them with it. Okay? Did I miss anything? And then the last part of this is once you've done the showing, once you've fed everything back to the lead agent, this is more than likely, it's a paid event.
All tours are paid.
All tours are paid. Okay, so if that is indeed the case, the only way that you're going to get paid is if you do step 12, which is you send a message to the help desk saying it's done. And that will trigger the next steps of the process that will ultimately end up in a check in your pocket.